Look, there is no question that if Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Tattoos and Beers, ordered a military strike on survivors to kill them, it's murder. There are not two sides to this issue. In fact, it is so clear that even Donald Trump, with his demented brain, said on Air Force One Sunday night that I would not have ordered a second strike. But here's the reality. Long before this new reporting, Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth were already committing crime. I'm Dean Obeidallah, and welcome to today's Daily Dean. Taking a step back, since early September, the Trump regime has killed over 80 people in ships, little boats off the coast of Venezuela, claiming they are drug dealers. Over 20 military strikes by our military. What the jaw-dropping reporting was on Saturday from the Washington Post, which actually did a good job and reported on what the Trump regime was really doing. They reported that one of the early strikes was of a ship with 11 people in it. The allegation was they were all drug dealers with drugs in it. They are, at the time, more than 1,000 miles from the U.S. coast. They do a military strike on this ship. They kill 9 people. 2 are left alive. According to the Washington Post, the last 2 alive are hanging on to the edge of the ship. The ship's on fire. They're hanging on for dear life. Then comes the order, kill everybody. And the military follows Pete Hegseth's order. They execute the last 2 people. That is what's resulted in an explosion of headlines over the weekend, interviews with every and any former judge advocate general, which is a military lawyer, have made it clear with 0 exceptions. I mean, literally 0. This was illegal. It's a violation of U.S. law. It is murder and/or a war crime, depending on the scenario, because Trump claims we're in armed conflict. And if we are, then it's a war crime. If we're not, and we're not, it's just murder. And what's Pete Hegseth's defense? Well, one is to attack the media, but second, his real defense, and it's been his defense ever since September, is I'm just following what the lawyers tell me is legal, right? That's called an advice of counsel defense. Here's the thing. It can actually be a legitimate defense if you fill the elements of it. And spoiler, Pete Hegseth does not. One of the key elements is good faith, meaning you're relying on the advice of the lawyers in good faith, that you have no inkling what you're doing might be criminal. You are organically and sincerely questioning what is going on. So you go to the lawyers and talk to them. You give them all the facts and they give you an answer. And in good faith, you rely on it. It doesn't apply to Pete Hegseth because he's not acting in good faith. We know this from other reporting. From NBC News, it's reported in early August. One of the top military lawyers told Pete Hegseth, if you kill people in little boats off the coast of Venezuela, and we have no proof they're dealing drugs, no proof they're coming here to America, it is a violation of the law. It is extrajudicial killings. Pete Hegseth didn't like that, so he went for other opinions and finally found lawyers who work in Pam Bondi's DOJ who said exactly what he wanted to hear. You just went lawyer shopping to find someone. It was a pretext, and that's what the courts talk about. If it's a pretextual meeting with a lawyer to cover what you know deep down is illegal, it's not a defense, so it's not going to work. You can't kill people days away from the United States of America and going, it's an imminent threat. Imminent threat is important, my friends. That is the key term, because under international law, you could only use lethal force to kill people in international waters when they pose an imminent threat to you or your nation. In this case, none of that exists. In fact, the United Nations, one of the human rights commissioners, just October, detailed statement about it, how there was no imminent threat posed and there's no evidence given there was an imminent threat. There was not. So the question, my friends, is not did Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth violate international law and maybe even U.S. law. The question is, can they be held accountable? And under U.S. law, they're not going to be because, one, Donald Trump's immune thanks to the GOP corrupt Supreme Court, and second, Trump can pardon Pete Hegseth. So what does that mean? We can't hold him accountable? It's over, go home? No, there is a chance the International Criminal Court at The Hague, and yes, I know what you're thinking, the United States is not a member of that. That's right, we've never joined them. But over 120 nations did, including Venezuela, meaning if Trump and Hegseth or others in this administration commit war crimes on the soil of Venezuela or in their territorial waters, they could be charged at The Hague and prosecuted. Now, it is much more difficult if the strikes happen in international waters, which I get a sense that Trump and his minions know that, and that's why they're doing this in international waters. But there's still a potential of that. In fact, a former prosecutor of the ICC told BBC recently, it is still a crime against humanity. And arguably, there's a chance they could be prosecuted at the ICC for even killing people, murdering people at the high seas. It's got to be tested. I don't know if there will ultimately be justice, but what I do know is we have to call it out every time, and we have to make sure Democratic members of Congress and the media continue to cover this. And that, my friends, is today's Daily Dean.